Hey everyone, happy Monday. We made it away from the weekend of fun back to the things that we love the most, which is work. So that's exciting. I'm Aaron, one of the co-founders of Orita. We build AI customer segments for a bunch of amazing Klaviyo brands and also some direct mail customers and some SMS customers. But we're not talking about us today. I'm really excited to have Amanda and Jamie. I'm not even going to try to do the intro because I'll screw this up, and they know each other very well. So we'll start there. But Amanda, can you please give us a little bit about your background and what you're up to today? And Jamie, I'll get to you next.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Thanks for having us. Happy to be here. I'm Amanda. I am the Chief Digital Officer at V's Barbershop. V's was founded way back in 1999, and it was really one simple mission. It was to bring back the classic, authentic barbershop experience, right? So we're talking about licensed barbers, hot lather, straight razor shaves, real antique barber chairs, that whole thing. Fast forward 26 years, and we have grown into so much more than just a barbershop. We have just over 65 locations nationwide. We have a franchise business, a growing e-commerce and wholesale operation. We are expanding our premium men's grooming product line in 2026, which is really exciting for us. At V's, I personally lead everything digital for the brand. So our website, e-commerce, in-store reservation system, POS system, marketing campaigns, basically the whole overall customer experience online. And I've been with V's in some capacity for about 9 years. I started as a freelancer with them. And yeah, I just feel very lucky to have kind of grown alongside the brand as they grow. And it's been a really fun challenge working together to kind of figure out how we grow digitally as we evolve as a company.
I love it. Thank you. I
Yeah.
have about 30 follow-ups, but I'm going to wait. We'll give Jamie 10 to 15 seconds now.
Yeah.
Jamie, would
You
love
talk fast.
would love for you to intro yourself, your background, your business, and then also obviously a little bit how you two work together, please.
Sure. Perfect. Thanks, Sang. And thank you so much for having us. It's such a pleasure and so much fun. So my name is Jamie Schreter. I am the founder and agency director for DigitalJAS. We're a Shopify premier partner. I have been in the e-com space for just under 20 years. Actually, I think December marks 20 years exactly that I've been in the e-com space. So I've seen quite the shift and quite the way through. So I'm primarily on the agency side since the beginning, helping companies, implement and launch their e-commerce and grow their e-commerce online. And then I started DigitalJAS back in January of 2019, mainly because I believe very strongly in the, murder of strategy and implementation, helping companies not just build their site on Shopify, but identify what their goals, their objectives are, and make sure that those things are kind of the North Star when you're building out your e-commerce. So we started this company back then, and we've been, kind of growing and building ever since, working with amazing brands and merchants, very much like V's Barbershop, helping them not just, implement and succeed online, but also identify and really realize what their goals and targets are, and making sure that whatever we do and whatever we build, really associates with those things. Our team is comprised of developers, e-commerce specialists, strategists, user experience optimization specialists, email marketing specialists, whoever we can bring on to make sure that the merchants that we work with have the support they need to really grow their brands. V's in particular is someone we've been working with for the last 2 years. And, we'll talk, I'm sure, a lot about what we do with V's today. But one of my favorite things about V's is what Amanda kind of mentioned, which is that it's not just a standard, let's put products up on a website and have them purchase. There's a whole slew of kind of conversion paths we take people down, whether it be, a franchise acquisition, whether it be reading content, whether it be buying product, whether it be, setting up for appointments in the barbershop. There's a lot of different ways that a customer can engage with V's, and there's such amazing content and story behind the brand, and we get to be part of that, which is such a blast.
The thing that amazes me the most, and kind of having learned a lot more about the brand in the last month, is literally the breadth. And Amanda, you mentioned it. Jamie, you obviously mentioned it. The fact, look, we do the e-commerce side and we do omnichannel, cool. But also trying to get people to read content, do the franchise approach. You talked about like the reservation system. Amanda, when you're thinking about your priorities, right, just for lack of a better question, how does, you guys are covering everything. And as a CDO, you truly are touching every aspect of that experience. where does your mind go first? And you can frame this maybe in like walking into 2026 or just on a daily basis. Like I don't know, how do you manage everything that you have to touch given how complex the business is?
Man, and the added thing to that too, when we're talking about how many different avenues we kind of touch as a company, because we do touch a lot, is that we have a extremely small corporate team. There's about 10 of us. So that's always very shocking to a lot of people when they hear that, because we have a pretty big reach with 65 stores nationwide and all of these different avenues. But yeah, sometimes it is a challenge. There is no one part of our business that isn't important to us from a marketing objective, right? Like, I think we are new to the e-commerce space. So that is a growing objective of ours. And we are putting more and more effort into that space. But really, we wouldn't survive without our franchise community, without our franchise sales, and without that's the core of who we are, right? That is our bread and butter. That's what founded us. So, really, it's just trying to like spread the love evenly and make sure everything works in conjunction with one another, and that our brand just has like what can I say, like a cohesive feel no matter how you're interacting with us, right?
I think that's something I mean, it's very notable. Even it's funny that you say you guys are new to e-commerce. As a third party, I wouldn't know that you were new to e-commerce. Like,
No.
good, right? It's like a really great experience. Jamie, good job. I'm sure you had at least a little bit of that.
It's actually a funny story how we got into
No,
e-commerce.
actually, I'd love to hear it.
So, again, it was founded in Phoenix in 1999. Never, I don't think ever thought about going into the e-commerce space. Our founder, we do have a small product line at the moment that is primarily just a shave line. And that was just created out of necessity for our barbershops. There was not a product that the barbers really like to use, so we created one for ourselves. But the e-commerce space, 2020, barbershops, very in-person experience. Every single one of our stores across the nation was closed at one point. And we started getting customers reaching out to us saying, hey, can I buy tonic? Hey, can I get this? Hey, how can I do this with you guys? And we had no avenue to do it. So when I say new to e-commerce, very new to e-commerce, but it was really like, okay, there's this growing need. Let's do it. Let's dive down that route. And so that's what we did.
If I can take a second just to pay a compliment to the small but very effective corporate team at V's. What I've seen so often in my career is people have like this roadmap or this wish list of 20 things. And like, all right, let's do all these 20 things at once. And they get like 20% of 20 things done and not really anything effective. This team has become, first of all, they're a family. They refer to us as family. They are incredibly, well organized, but they really like pick one or two things, they tackle it, they smash it out of the park, and they move on to the next. And that's how they, over our couple of years of working with them, we've had the ability to, okay, we're going to primarily, let's get them up on Shopify. All right, great. We have a great new user experience. Now we're going to migrate the B2B and the B2C together. Like we would kind of attack one thing at a time and, do a really good job with it. And that's what makes it really impressive because of how many things they have going on at once. So they really tackle things as they need to, and they focus and they get things done well. And it's a really, really smart way to do things.
Jamie, I was actually really curious about, when you think about Shopify and you think about Omnichannel, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously V's has so much complexity behind it. Where does Shopify start and stop for the business? And how much is it like, we actually need to go build custom software or go find third parties for who knows what, even just a reservation system? Like how does Shopify fit in and where does it end?
It's a really good question because to your point, there's so much complexity, and V's Barbershop works with like a third party tool that does all their appointment booking and all of their call it in-store POS type stuff. So really, Shopify as a primary thing is it manages the online experience. So when we first met V's, they were using Shopify in a few different capacities with other softwares and platforms like WooCommerce, for example, and WordPress. So the main thing that Shopify has been able to do is kind of bring things into one central location. So right now, D2C, B2B and the franchise web experience is all in one platform, one Shopify store, whereas that wasn't always the case. We still integrate to third parties like the POS system, and we still, work with third parties like Klaviyo for email and things like that. But Shopify has become the central location for all things web and digital experience. And the fact that they can do that with multiple markets and multiple URLs and all those multiple experiences and, one CMS managing multiple templates has been a really, really big help because again, it's a small team. So they have to manage it all in one spot.
Amanda, from a storytelling perspective, right, you're kind of showing up in a lot of different places. And obviously it's core, right? Like you want the consistent experience no matter where the touch point is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that comes from you? And like, is it, hey, kind of reflecting on what Jamie just said, where you guys are kind of good at keeping the main thing. It's like, we know what V's is, and therefore we're able to roll our messaging out. Or is there complexity that you've had to bring on now that you do e-commerce so well in terms of like what stores you're telling well, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe even pricing? I don't know, right? But I can imagine just how hard it is.
I mean, I think that's a really good question. I mean, there's a lot of aspects to that question, but I think if I'm answering truthfully, at the core of all of it is really like our founder, Jim. He has a very unique story and I think he's kind of like our North Star, like our compass, right? Like this is what the brand is about always, and I think it's so ingrained in all of us. But the barbershop experience is inherently nostalgic. And so I think our goal is not to like digitize the in-shop experience. It's to digitize like the infrastructure behind the scenes and enhance that customer's experience once they leave the chair. So we kind of find that like customers want that classic experience in the barbershop, but they want a modern experience everywhere else. So, they want to book reservations online quickly. They want to reschedule easily, get a confirmation text, order product, not think too hard about it. So I feel like we've really focused on making those experiences and processes smoother, but we're also, working really hard to provide more educational content around grooming products, especially since we have 26 years of experience grooming men. We kind of know what we're doing in
I was
that.
going to say, actually know what
Yeah,
good looks
we
like.
kind of know what we're doing. So, we've done a lot of things, but a lot of that is like what products are best for your hair type. Why do they work? How do you use them, right? What does a beard oil actually do? Like those things we find in the women's space, or I guess women in general, we just kind of naturally learn those things as we grow up, like makeup, hair care, skincare. Men really don't have that. So I feel like we've focused on that being our driver, right? What we do good in the shop, how can we do that well online? So we've rebuilt all of our product pages with the help of Jamie's team. We've started creating more ways to get educational content across all of our channels. So men can really get like quick, easy to digest guidance. I think we want to just be their go-to grooming expert, right? And we don't want to replace the advice that your barber gives you when you're sitting in the chair, because that's really invaluable. But I think what we can do from a digital standpoint is amplify that message and get it to a larger audience, right? So everything digital supports the in-person experience. It doesn't replace it. And I think that's really our goal.
I wanted to highlight that was a really big part of our UX discussion was how do we make sure we give the end consumer the information they need about the product, where to use it, how to use it, when to use it, how often to use it, what do you mix it with, what ingredients are there. Because something Amanda said really rung true when we were having conversations, which is I never paid attention. As a, I use hair product, I use things, but I never knew. So we don't always know this information. We also don't always know what information, I'm using men as a general term, what information we need to know. So building a user experience that was kind of simple and very supportive of that was really key. And good news is that the team of V's is very knowledgeable, so they know their stuff a lot.
I mean, it sounds like from an experience perspective, this is like the concierge experience I want from doctors. Is like, I want to meet with the expert, but I want just everything to be seamless separately.
Yeah.
The same thing. I have a follow-up for each of you, and I'm not sure which way I want to go. So Jamie, I'm going to put you on the spot. You talked about this from like the reinforcing side. What are some choices that you guys made in the UX design that actually ties to the fact that it is V's and this should be educational content and they actually bring this expertise that maybe if you were a generic hoodie brand or whatever, and you'd be like, all right, cool guys, let's just like slam people with pricing or I don't know what would.
It's a really good question. There were two kind of main things that I would say were unique when it came to UX and Vs. One is that, like I said before, their conversion path isn't just buying product, but a very big, I would say one of the main, if not the main objective was let's get people to book reservations in the stores. So ensuring that a key CTA on the site was where can I book my appointments or my reservations and where can I see what I've already booked? That was very, really important. And then to have that seamlessly work within the fact that we are, of course, displaying product and selling product on the web means that we have to make sure that those two paths for the user are very clear. So that was really, really big at the beginning. And then the second thing, of course, kind of to what we've been saying is the content on the product page to ensure that we were, highlighting, to your point about a hoodie site, it might simply be color, size, material. But here it's, it's not just the ingredients of the product, it's when to use it, where do you use it, right? We have different templates for if an item is intended for your beard or for your hair or for your face. There's an apparel template. So having the landing page of a product be very informative in a few different capacities is really, really important. And then as a tertiary focus to ensure that all of the, what they call Groom You content, all of the, additional educational content can be integrated into that page was also really important.
And then it sounds like you guys also bring all that content clearly through your email campaigns and through other marketing channels.
Yeah.
Amanda, curious from your perspective, like what is the information if I'm a new customer, a new prospect or whatever? Is it you lead with a bunch of educational material? Is it if I live in the right geography or trying to get me into the chair? Like, how do you guys set the different priorities that you're doing across all your different marketing channels?
Yeah, I think it's kind of, obviously it depends on how that customer's finding us, right? We have 65 stores across the country, but we're not in every market. An e-commerce patron is probably going to find us maybe a different way than an in-store patron. A lot of our in-store patrons, most of them are going to be, searching somehow like barbershops near me or something like that. And that's how they're going to find us. And, um, and so from that perspective, for that type of customer, we want the path to book a reservation or like that location's information to be very clearly stated. So again, in addition to all of our PDP templates that Jamie talked about, we built out each individual location template for all of our stores with all of this in mind. Like those are their landing pages and they are very optimized for, very optimized for mobile because that's where most people are looking, right? Through maps or Google or AI these days. And so what information is the most important right at the top, right? What are the hours? How do I book a reservation? Click to call, all of that right at the top. So that information is going to be a little different than someone who's coming specifically from maybe an e-commerce ad. And in that way, like we want to give them more product information and education around that product or what it's used for or why it's good, right? So
Is there anything unique kind of, so the people are unique location by location, right?
yeah.
Obviously like good franchises are like, there's a combination of operational efficiency, but also like, look, you love the people who you're interacting with and like they put their personal stamp on it and different geographies look differently. In terms of the marketing content, is there room for franchises to be doing different stuff or is that actually like kind of like the core central function as well?
Yeah, I think that is a very unique question because especially for a franchise system, it definitely has taught me a whole new level of, what brand consistency really means. It's much harder. It's one thing to kind of design a beautiful brand and implement it, but it's very different when you need to maintain it across 65 locations and dozens of franchisees and countless digital physical touch points. There's a lot going on. So I think I've really started to appreciate the operational side of branding, I think. Like what can we do or build or create as the franchisor that will help everyone deliver the same experience no matter where they are. So it's made our team really like focused on building tools and content and like asset libraries and processes that empower franchisees to bring the brand to life in a way that feels authentic and consistent, but it needs to be flexible enough for their local markets, right? So we do give them quite a bit of runway. All of their social media channels are managed by them, and they get to do some fun advertising things. Barbershops are really community based. So get out in your community, advertise at the local school, or, if there's a big event like a PGA Tour event, go be a part of it. So we really encourage that. But
Cool.
yeah, giving them tools to do that easily is really what we focused
I
on.
can feel that tension. One of my friends from business school is doing marketing for solo salons. And when she told me that, I was like, holy mackerel, right? Because it's the same sort of
Yeah.
like you have, it's fundamentally different markets everywhere.
hmm
Well, congrats to you. And I'm like, it sounds like it's just hard, but you guys are obviously
Yeah.
doing it right.
But it's also, I mean, I gotta say, it's a tech because obviously we work with a bunch of different brands and merchants over our just DigitalJAS, but over my career entirely. Visa is one of the first brands that I've worked with where there's a franchise model where it's really like a marriage of very strong brand beliefs and brand messaging, but also collaboration with the franchisees to say, listen, you own your market still, or so that collaboration, that kind of balance is really nice. Not a lot of franchisors do that kind of stuff. And I think Visa does it really well. It's really cool to see.
That's cool. One of the topics that I'm definitely curious about is given that like in-store experience versus online and just like the complexity of the business. Jamie, when you think about kind of like the data flow and like where all the data sits and how you guys structured everything, any like not looking for secrets about V's. Obviously, I want to know all the secrets, but more like what are the
Well,
things?
thanks,
What are
John.
we'll talk about that separately. What are all the principles that you would bring into a project like this? Both that like, been able to accomplish and like maybe some aspirational things that are maybe useful for any other brand who has complex data architecture, like sources of data from different places, different objectives, like all that.
Right.
Any words to the wise, I guess.
Yeah. I guess the most common thing I'll say is that data makes or breaks everything. Good data is such a valuable thing, and bad data is such a hindrance to so much stuff. So when we first started talking, one of the biggest conversations we had and continue to have is how do we kind of get all of our data centralized, right? So if you think about it, once upon a time, we had 3 or 4 different websites running different aspects of the business. We had the POS capturing a lot of data. I joke often that the biggest customer they have in the stores is called walk-in because that's how that system works. So, how do you get all your data organized and clean? Amanda and I have been on many calls. We've talked about historical data. I mean, we're talking, 25, 26 years worth of data and how to kind of clean that as we kind of sink into things like Klaviyo and Shopify. So the goal really, as much as we can, and what we've always recommended to our clients is how best can we centralize and clean up our data? How can we ensure that and tools like Shopify do a great job of the minute you place a new order, if you're already in the system, it'll link up your email, make things work. And Klaviyo has got a great merging policy. So centralizing the entire business into a single CRM and usage tool like Klaviyo and a single e-commerce tool like Shopify has allowed us to kind of keep data as clean as possible. And then, to support for any time there's 2 systems talking to make sure those 2 systems are talking. So we have the countless webhooks pulling data in from the POS into Klaviyo to ensure that if someone, we're not just capturing, subscription data, but, what the preferred store is, who the preferred barber is, when the last appointment date was. So we can utilize that data in a centralized location, not just for marketing purposes, but also just for insights. So if the team wants to ever get an idea of, how many of our customers were at this location who had a haircut or whatever, we can get that data now. That was a pretty big lift and a pretty big effort that I would say is still ongoing. But again, having that all in one spot, actionable, was really, really key.
If I can add to that, this is probably the biggest challenge of a service-based industry. And it's not just our industry, like men's grooming or, like appointment-based services, but I come from a golf background and I worked a lot in the golf and hospitality industry, and it's the exact same thing there. Um, these service-based industries are just not known for clean data and like modern systems. So I mean, you're literally looking at fragmented tools, legacy processes, right? It makes unifying the online and in-person experience extremely complicated, a lot more complicated than it sounds. Um, and yeah, that's definitely been a challenge of ours, but I do think, if we could solve that, and I think Jamie and his team have helped us get a lot further than we were. Like we have a much better foundation now that we've done a lot of work on the back end. But if we can solve that, really the opportunities are kind of endless because we're really looking at, in this world that we're in today, AI being so heavy, we kind of have an AI resistant core business. It relies on human to human interaction, and people will come back every month. So if we can kind of marry that and get that data, then we can do a lot more than what we're able to do now.
What AI is going to help us do is read the data. So because there's so much of it, tools, let's pick one out of the air. Orita, for example, helps you get better segmentation insights because of the amount of data that you're getting. I mean, as much as we want to help strategically, when there's just so much data to go through, having tools that kind of help you highlight, like here you're highly engaged, here's whatever your cohorts, your targets, segments are. That's so helpful. That does everything, and that's, I would argue, is one of the things that we're most excited about is utilizing tools that help us just give our customers better insights, because it's been less and less of a challenge as these tools have come out, but it's still something that we want to get better at.
I mean, it feels like there's a breadth of problems you guys have to tackle, right? It's
Always
connecting.
It'd be boring if it wasn't.
We're not just done. It's not just like connecting the data. It's like cleaning the data, centralizing the data, getting insights from the data, right? I always say like, cool, it's a lot of data. So what, right? Like our Orita would be nothing if it was me.
What are you doing with
like,
it? Yeah.
a history major in MBA, but my co-founders are ML engineers and actually know what to do with all the data that we have. What are the...
I've always said there's 3 rules when it comes to data. One is, what data do you need? How do you capture it? And what do you do with it once you have it? If you don't have an answer to those 3 questions, you're starting off behind.
Well,
as long as you can come up with those 3 things as a goal, you can figure out the rest.
I think about that as like the so what. And I guess my question for you guys is like the so what of there's a lot of AI tooling that's happening, right? Like there's AI for you doing your own processes better. There's AI content created. There's AI discounting. Like there's quote unquote AI for everything. Amanda, what are some of the like biggest things? And again, it doesn't have to be about AI, but like, what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing walking into 2026? And it could be, hey, we're doing this well, but if we could just supercharge and do it even better, the business would be in a better position. What are some of the opportunities that you're seeing just for like improvement, whether it's with an AI tool or not?
I mean, the one that we're talking about now is definitely a big one, right? It's that like that fragmented system and making sure we have data that can talk to each other. I feel like that will really allow us to connect our physical experience with our digital one. Barbershops are personal, relationship driven spaces, right? So we want to mirror that online, but that's the goal. We can't do that without data. It would be really great. Like in an ideal world, right? You go into a barbershop, you get your hair cut, he's putting product in your hair, explaining it, you buy it, you go home, and maybe you're like, oh, what did he tell me to do? But you get a text or an email from us, right? But it's from your barber saying, hey, this is what I gave you. You can find it online. Here's a tutorial video. Like, how can we just extend that experience? So being able to do that is a really big opportunity for us. And we're getting closer and closer to that every day. But yeah, in terms of AI, I mean, we're using a lot of different tools, probably like most companies are. We're using it for efficiency purposes or generate customer reports, data insights, formalized creative briefs, or, like marketing plans. Some basic photo video editing, not a ton of creative. I still, I have a design background, so I'm not entirely convinced that creative AI is quite there yet. I think humans are still able to outperform AI when it comes to creating authentic original work that's like truly on brand. But we have a tool integrated on our website for ADA compliancy that uses AI. And, from my web dev background, and I'm sure both of yours, it's so crazy to think about how long that would have taken a developer to code all of those fixes. And it's all AI driven, and it does it instantly, makes the changes, and sends me an audit report. It's
That's awesome.
crazy.
I will tell you that I would argue is both the opportunity, but also one of the biggest challenges as we head into the new year is how do you, and this is exactly what you're describing, Amanda, is how do we keep utilizing and benefiting from what AI is doing for us, but we can't get away from the fact that, experiential marketing and relationship development between the brand and the user has to stay. That's the biggest shift that we've seen is those are the brands that do well, are the ones who build the relationship and focus on LTV with their customer. But the minute you get away from, that relationship and that brand message, and it's less credible, it's more automated and less personal, you're going to lose it. So that balance of automation and AI, but relationship and personalization, that's going to be the biggest challenge of how to find that balance and every brand's going to be a little bit different. So that's something that we're focusing a lot on is making sure we don't lose that personal touch still.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it resonates everywhere, but like doubly so for you guys, given what the core business is.
Sure.
Amanda,
Yeah.
I
But I'll tell you, we have a few brands like that are more what I'll call like a standard, D2C brand. They sell, a single project widget. And the ones that are succeeding, the ones who really built, like who focus on retention and utilize loyalty programs and, post-purchase email campaigns and all the standard retention strategies that allow them to really build a relationship with the customer. Even if they're just selling a simple product, like we have a sunglass company that's doing very well, but they have a relationship with their customer. And that relationship is what makes them successful. So obviously in the, men's grooming space, it's a much more service-based business, but in general, that's the strategy that's going to make you succeed every time.
Completely agree.
I was definitely the men's grooming consumer who at some point got Head and Shoulders because it was 2-in-1. I was like, this works. And then I found out like, I don't have dandruff. Like I don't need Head and Shoulders, but I was
Aaron,
like,
you are not
it's great.
alone
It's
in
cheap.
that.
I
That
get
is
it
a
at Costco.
very, that's very common in the men's space.
Amanda, one day I promise to grow up and try harder. Now I just literally use whatever my wife has. And was like, great, done. I'm cheap. And so
also very common in the men's space.
And not try.
But it's amazing how many men, and we're seeing this through the data, and we're seeing this in how we build out the UX for V's, but how many men are either like you and I, Aaron, where it's like I go sit down in my barber's chair, I'm like, just make it look good enough that my wife doesn't get mad at me when I go home and give me whatever product works. And there are also men, and I have close friends and family members who are like this, who can tell you exactly what product they use, and they've guided their barber, and they go online and my 12-year-old is like this now. Like he's extremely aware of what it's a different mentality. So you have to kind of
shifting. Man, I'm sure you see this in the data, but
no, we have seen, I think there's a massive generational shift when it comes to men's grooming specifically. There's so much, we're seeing it a couple different ways, but, they just care so much more about how they look and what they're using. And are they using a clean product, right? There's a lot of different aspects to that. But, to say that men's grooming is exploding is kind of an understatement. We're seeing it grow 3 to 4 times faster than typical salon-based services. I just saw, I was reading a report the other day that men's grooming products itself are projected to grow 8% every year up to 2030. So you're talking about, a category that used to be pretty flat, and you're seeing massive growth. So the opportunity there, especially for us, a 26-year-old brand, we like to say that we're the authority in men's grooming. We've been doing it a long time. We have a massive opportunity there, and it's really exciting.
Any channels that you're finding working more and more for you? Are there like any bets where because again, you guys have the brand, right? You have the actual experience, you have the product, like you're in such a great position, and you have the, dozens and dozens of locations where people can interact with you live. Are there any new like marketing tools or channels that you found are working more that you're, even if it's not yet there, you're like, I think this is going to work better than it has, given that you're talking maybe to a younger demo or a new audience?
I think the one that we are not implementing at the moment, but we talk a lot about internally, and I'm personally really excited to see where it goes, is this live social shopping. The TikTok shop, the whatnot, especially when you're talking about these younger generations. Again, we're talking about in our world, there's nothing more powerful than that barber customer relationship, right? And that recommendation is usually a really easy sell because it's genuinely helpful at that moment, and it's also convenient, right? Men like the convenience. So I think this idea of being able to recreate that moment online in like a modern, fun, kind of like QVC way, but cooler, is really exciting. I also think that, with live social shopping, I do think it's going to blow up over the next few years. I think if creators or brands that it fits, it has to fit with what you're selling, right? But I think it's just a way to provide more value of what we're doing in the shop every day, but online in a really cool way.
I love it. I'm really excited
Yeah.
by that. And the concept makes a ton of sense. Um, what's going to get you to experiment with it? I'm very curious about this.
Well, that's a great question. I think we just need to start.
Okay.
we
So I would bring it back to V's approach to we're going to do it. We're going to do it right. So
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
we've
We're gonna do
knocked
it
some
right.
things off
Yeah.
the list.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but
we
I
are
know
very
this is part of the roadmap.
lucky because with 65 locations, we have a ton of barbers, and some of them have been cutting hair for a really long time. We also have what's called our V's Elite team. So we have a selection of barbers throughout our company that go around and they do training for our other barber shops when we open stores. But they just create great content. And, we even have staff on our HQ team that have years and years of barbering and salon service experience. So we definitely have people that can get behind the camera and do this. And so, yeah, we're going to do it right. And
You're gonna do it right. I love it.
yeah,
My old CMO from our brand from a very long time ago. So Jamie, I'm at 16 years in e-commerce, not quite 20, but it counts.
That's
Um,
enough. Yeah.
he always said like your brand is only as strong as its weakest touch point. And I don't know if he was right or wrong, but it's always resonated with me. And so if you're gonna do something and if you were to start a blog and you start doing it once a week and then it's like you go check and it's the last post was from 3 months ago, that's a bad touch point, right? It's not. And so I love that framing. Um,
What I
Jamie,
love about this social piece in particular, like I grew up in a family business. This is one of the reasons why I love working with V so much because it's so family driven. But like I worked in my family store growing up, and my grandfather or father or uncle behind the cash were recognized by people walking into the store. And social media and now social shopping has brought us back to that, where you can build what feels like a personal relationship with a pretty big nationwide brand. So we're back to that feeling of, oh, I know these people. I saw that barber on TikTok and now I'm in the store and I see them. So that relationship is so valuable and we can do it again. So that's why for us to see our merchants go through this and help them get there is so exciting.
Jamie, you obviously get the benefit of seeing a bunch of brands, right? And not just now,
Yeah.
but over time. Are there any other tools maybe that actually aren't appropriate for V's that you're not spending time with or problem sets that you're wrestling with others that are worth kind of discussing? It could be like using AI-driven marketing tools or anything else that's worth sharing.
That we haven't, that wouldn't be, that's a good question. I mean, right now, of course, AI, anything is huge. So helping clients and merchants automate, for us, it's the data piece. It's helping them automate, segment their lists or whatever it may be. We're seeing a lot of value now, and I'm going to keep kind of mentioning retention because it's to me the biggest focus and the biggest opportunity for brands out there. But a lot of more integrated loyalty programs and upsells and cross sells throughout the process that are being automated for them, so that truth be told is we're three people on this conversation. All three of us should have unique experiences when checking out of a website or in the communications we get after that first purchase, in terms of the products we're recommended, in terms of the messaging that we get. So helping our merchants, and there's a lot of great tooling. What I find amazing is that we're not recommending new tools. We're able to continue to recommend the tools that we've been recommending for years because those tools are evolving with all this great new technology. Klaviyo is still a big partner of ours. Yotpo is still a big partner of ours. Shopify, of course, Shopify is leading the chart in all things. So utilizing the existing tooling that we work so closely with and helping our clients and merchants do new and cool stuff has been such a big thing for us.
So a big piece of it is the personalization. It's like, that's a combination of we are getting hit up at different times with different messages and different channels, but it's also the
Yeah.
content itself. When you talk about the existing platforms that you're using, is it like leveraging Klaviyo's AI suite for content? Are there other tools that you guys are exploring as well? Or even
So
Yahoo,
yeah, so we
right?
right,
Um,
Yap is a good example of it. Leveraging Klaviyo's AI suite for sure for not just content but like when to send and how to send them. And I have been talking recently about deliverability callouts of like, just so you know, because of soft bounces and stuff like that. They do a really good job of that kind of stuff. What I'm really excited for, which isn't really coming out yet, but it's coming out soon, is like more like UX driven AI. So like having product pages where the dynamic content is actually, personalized and dynamic. That's coming out and it's going to become very, very big. But for right now, it's really mostly about what content and data we're feeding to customers based on more segmentation and cohorts and who they are.
one of the
Yeah.
things that we've noticed, and Amanda, I'm curious if you guys have experienced this, but I think every brand I've talked to, I don't know if it's all of our brands, but everyone that I've actually had a conversation with recently is because acquisition costs went up so much and have continued to go up, they're leaning in so much more on the retention side. And so they're trying to get more out of their list. And, right. It's like, well, if we used to send 3 emails a week, now we're sending 3.5 or 4. It's like the CEO says we need revenue and so you're really relying on the existing customers. Amanda, are you experiencing that same thing? Like, has it been harder to acquire, or because you have the 65 locations, has that actually like you've been able to keep bringing in new customers? Like, what's your experience here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think when you're talking, obviously retention is the big thing that everyone is focused on right now. But when it comes to like the barbershop business, lifestyle marketing really it's very unique because, our customer base ranges from like a baby's first haircut to a senior who's been coming to us for decades. So it's a very sticky business. Most men get their hair cut at least once a month. Um, Again, they're creatures of habit. So once they find the barber that they like, their location's convenient, they know the experience that they're going to get, kind of end of story there. So, yeah, the retention aspect is really huge. It's really about nurturing those long-term relationships with our patrons and meeting people at whatever stage of life that they're in. But we also have a very unique business because it's not just our in-store and e-com patrons. We run a wholesale side. So we supply our franchisees with everything they need to run their barbershops. And franchisees aren't really just shopping, right? They're running their business. So that side of it is more about reliability, inventory planning, ongoing operational support. And then the franchise sales side of our business is a much longer relationship driven process. So we're kind of juggling, three totally different customer lifestyles at the same time.
And I'll
But
say what I said at the
not
beginning,
always
which is
about
I still don't see how you do it. It's nuts. I love it. Yeah.
But one thing that Visa does well, and we talk about with many merchants, including Visa, is how do we find new ways to engage with and work with our existing clientele, even if we are in a very sticky business. And something you said earlier, Amanda, which I made a mental note of because we have to bring it up in our roadmap for next year, but it's that ongoing, well, how else can we engage with our clients? So if it's things like they went to visit a barber and, he recommended certain products, making sure that those products are included in follow-up emails and that they're like reminded of those things, and that, hey, by the way, you bought this. That's probably done. You're probably out of it by now. It's time to renew. There's so much opportunity to find new ways to engage with and
even down
support your
to whatever
customer.
service they're getting in the store, right? Like
Yeah.
you see that they're getting a beard trim or a mustache trim. Okay, now we have a whole different
Mm.
segment of products that we can give you, or educational content, right? Maybe you're just getting into keeping a beard and you have no idea how to manage it, right? And so there's a lot of value. And I think, when it comes to retention, that's the biggest thing is it's really about relevance. Like how relevant are you as a brand to that customer? And I think the people doing really well with retention are the ones focusing on helpful content, solving a problem, right? Connecting with your
We've
audience.
seen post-purchase campaigns where the first email that is purely content. Like, for example, we have a client who sells clothing, and the first email as post-purchase is care instructions. Hope you're
Mhm.
enjoying your new outfit. Here's your care instructions. Here's access if you have any questions. We're happy to help out. And their lifetime value of their customers have increased by over 25% simply because they know they can rely on them and they're there for them. And it's not always pushing more sales, more sales, more sales. So that you're 100% right, Amanda. It's all about building that relationship and giving them more confidence. It's not always sales driven. It's more like support driven. It's very
It's
helpful.
always that blend, right? It's at any given point, it's
Yeah.
information you can use. I just gave you $300. I don't need you to sell me something else, right?
Yeah.
Like help me
Exactly.
get the most out of $300. But Amanda, to your point, I came in for a beard trim. I bought something. It is likely I'm close to needing to replenish it. Then it's the right time for you to send me that email. I could see it as like kind of three different pieces of data in the barbershop. There's like what appointment did I book? There's what did I transact on? And then the third, much more complex, I was going to say hairy, but I won't say hairy. Like the more complex piece is like what was the discussion I had with my barber? How can you possibly capture that? Is that like, oh, we just have a better job of capturing information on site and we give the barber an extra like bonus or something if they capture data from every customer so you can go throw that in? Like, is there
Yeah.
any behavior that you need to kind of push towards?
Ooh, loaded question as a franchisor. 65 plus locations, lots of barbers. Jamie joked that our number one client is walk-in. So yeah, I mean, the data piece, when you have so many people that are entering data from at the store level, right? You are bound to have inaccurate data or incomplete data, but
To be fair, I literally am the one who enters data at Orita, and
yeah.
I'm inaccurate and incomplete. So we can blame it on the breadth of people, but you also just have a bad
Yeah, I
user.
mean, I'm not saying everyone, but I mean, it's bound to happen, right? Like it's just natural human error or whatever. And also, our shops are busy, and they are busy, and they're just cutting hair really quickly and getting people in and out of their chair. So, but yeah, I don't know how we would, what
Okay.
the barber talked with. That would be amazing data. Think of all of the stuff you could do with that. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be wonderful to be able to capture it. Maybe someday we can, but
Amanda, literally the only proxy, as I'm thinking about this and just again processing the complexity of your
yeah.
business, is there's a very cool company called Two Boxes. Super relevant for you guys, but they
Okay.
help with returns processing, and they make it really, really easy for the person in the 3PL to scan a label and say, "Oh, this is what Amanda's returning, the blue shirt." And then you open the box and it's like the blue shirt. And then it gives you like step-by-step instructions.
Mhm.
And it's like, it goes from, well, the person's got to do it or they've got to fill out a spreadsheet to literally they push buttons because it's already predetermined. And like, then that data flow enables so much more that the brain can do on like fraud prevention or marketing or merchandising, because you learn, oh, this is a higher defect rate in a way that like you couldn't do.
Mhm.
Jamie, jump in, please. I see you leading.
Yeah, I was going to say, you bring up a really good point of technology has improved to a point now where we can simplify it for that person who can kind of enter in data. But what I've seen in the past, like, I remember when capturing email addresses at like the physical location was like first becoming a really popular thing. And so many of our merchants were like, how do we convince our store staff to capture? And they came up with ideas like, we're going to have a contest who can ever capture the most emails, but they have to be real emails. And so I think it's a real combination of improved software. There's amazing tools like Salesfloor. I don't know if you've heard of that company, but they do amazing work with like physical in-person sales staff, building an online relationship with people, with a layer over the site. There's also, though, there's the partnering with in this case, with your barber to say, okay, like it's to your benefit to have this relationship with your client outside of the chair.
They
So let's
trust you.
give you the environment to do that.
Let's
And then
amplify that
grow
trust.
in. And trust me, you'll have some barbers who love it and eat it up, and you'll have some who don't do as well, but that will impact their clientele and their lifetime value of their customers, because that's something else. The relationship with your barber, there is a relationship with V's, but there's for sure a relationship with the barber themselves. So if that barber were to move or no longer be there, things change quite a bit.
Sometimes it's a little synonymous, right? Like they're kind of one and the same. That they're a reflection of our brand as a whole. And so, yeah, that relationship is very important. Yeah.
100%. I mean, again, going back to the doctor analogy, right? And so I think what you guys are obviously doing is building this self-reinforcing organization where it's like you treat the franchisors well, you treat the barbers well, you like help them get the right information, the best products, and you build a delightful consumer experience. Then they don't want to leave because like their customers are happy and they're supported in the way they want to be
Yeah.
supported.
Why your doctor analogy is such a great one, actually, is because when I first met Jim and he was really just breaking down V's and the whole mantra and the belief and stuff, he talked about actually what a special relationship you have with the people in the chair He's like, because yes, often they're coming in just for a haircut, but sometimes they're coming in because they have a job interview. And it's really important that they look a certain way, or they're meeting their girlfriend's parents, or whatever the thing is. And you're now helping them on
Baby's
this
first
major step,
haircut, and they're really
or their
nervous.
baby's first haircut. So there's a very vulnerable, very personal relationship being built here. And there's a lot of trust they're putting in you. So taking it really seriously and respecting that relationship, that's one of Jim's biggest values. And it shows through.
Or Jamie, to your point from before, your wife thinks you look like shit. And you just really need to fix it. And
Just,
so,
yeah, I don't want to get in trouble when I get home. That's for me, that's the one. That's the one that my brother is very
And
aware
that
of.
is a very unique aspect to our business too, because while yes, the majority of our patrons are men, boys, right? If you can sell to the mom who's bringing their kids in because it's clean and nice and they have good experience, you are set. They're going to tell all the moms and you're going to get everyone. Yeah.
all right, we have a couple of minutes left. This has been really fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
from the pure MBA in me, trying to understand the business inside and out, and obviously teasing out so many insights. So thank you both.
It's our favorite thing is we get to meet different brands and companies. So I know more about barbershops and the franchise model than I did 2 years ago, for sure. It's so much fun. This is the best part.
The last question I have kind of for both of you is one is where can we find you? So man, I'm letting you go last because you definitely need the last word. And two, if there's any other, this is important, you need to say, go to V's Barber. Also, we've covered a lot of ground, but not everything that we'd even discussed. If there's any other last takeaway or thoughts you have that you want to share, I just want to create space for that, but no pressure. So Jamie, you're first. Where can folks find you, DigitalJAS, and then also any last words that you want to share?
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you, man. Thank you so much for having us and for the conversation. I wish we could do this for 3 hours. Could do this all day. I really appreciate it. So yes, you can find us at digitaljas.com or on LinkedIn. hey@digitaljas.com if you want to email us, or you can DM me on LinkedIn at any point, and Jamie Schreter. And I'm happy to chat. I actually posted today on LinkedIn. I love conversations. I love talking to people and hearing whether the conversation has an absolute need and a scope, or it's just a chat to catch up. It's a lot of fun. So hit us up at any point. We'd love to talk. There's so much we can say, but really, I guess the one kind of key thing that we said earlier about V's, and I made a note of, if I can give one piece of advice, it's if you can learn anything from V's, one thing is don't take on too much at the same time. Let's take on one thing, do an amazing job at it, and then move on to the next. It's how you kind of stay efficient. Make sure that you optimize, don't always customize, improve yourselves, and you'll see much more success that way.
I love it. Such good advice, no matter what type of business you're running, or even in your just day-to-day life. It's also
we
very
do it in our business. Yeah, it's good for our merchants, and we do it ourselves.
So hard. All right, Amanda, last words to you. Any last advice, and where can folks find you and sign up for V's?
Yeah. I think, especially when it comes to with V's in mind, I think my bit of advice would be authenticity doesn't mean outdated. It just means that you're evolving with intention, right? So you can still honor the tradition and modernize the experience. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So I guess that's my little piece of advice. But yeah, you can find us at vbarbershop.com and on all major social networks. You can find myself on LinkedIn, Amanda Vogt Peer, and
This is wonderful.
Find a location.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you both so much. This has been really fun. I also just want to acknowledge that all of us being find us on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We are clearly Gen Zers, super cool. We're not I'm sure you can find us on Instagram too. Thank you both. This was
I
really
should have
fun.
said TikTok. Sorry.
Yeah, just find us on
Yeah.
TikTok. Where is this TikTok?
If you find me on TikTok, let me know, because I don't think I'm there.
That's
Yeah,
right. Not the real
Aaron, thank you for the time, and thank you as well.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Have a good day, guys.
Hi, I'm Aaron Schwartz, co-founder and co-CEO of Orita.ai. We build AI customer segmentation for some of Klaviyo's biggest brands like Oriana, Spanx, Caraway, Third Love, True Classic, Rem Beauty, and on and on. Brands come to us to help find untapped revenue, improve their click rate, drive away mean bots, and a bunch more. You can learn more or get a free customer engagement audit at Orita.ai.